The application of time distancing for the coronavirus and reopening businesses. I saw the deserted library the other day. I found it so sad. A place full of books and knowledge. Why can't we use it now? Is knowledge not freely available anymore? I get it that everything is closed because of the coronavirus, but why couldn't they still lend books out? And then I had an idea, using time as distancing. Social distancing is there because we think there's a limited distance a droplet containing the coronavirus can travel. Most countries use 6 feet or 2 meters. In other countries around the world, they use the metric system as their guideline. 6 feet, though, may not actually be enough, but it's a balance between practicality and effectiveness. Because even though I think nobody would disagree, 20 feet is better, this means that this line would stretch for miles. Why don't we use time distancing for books? The main concern is that people taking the books may have the coronavirus. They get it on the book, and so somebody who checks it out would be at risk. If the librarian handles it, they may get it. Why don't we just make the return process a whole lot slower? We can organize it to be slower. We'll use the passage of time to clean the books. Because if you don't touch it for 3 days, the coronavirus will disappear. Its shell will be destroyed, its genetic material leaked out, and it cannot infect anybody anymore. Let's have 3 bins in the library. The bins are parked in different boxes on the ground. The first one labeled first day. Second one labeled second day. Third one labeled third day. The books come out of the chute into the bin. At the end of the day, or in the morning, or whenever the library personnel come in, they push the bin over to the next spot. So the bin occupying the first day position gets moved to the second day position, the bin from the second day position gets moved to the third day position, and so on. Until the final bin gets pushed out of the third day position. This bin is now ready to be reshelved. It has been decontaminated. It has been 3 days. The virus that may have been on the books is no longer infectious. And a person who's moving the bins over has never touched a book this whole time. The person doesn't even need to wear gloves as they're only touching the handle on the bin, which has not been exposed to the outside world. Of course, if you have a system that's automated like that in Seattle, there is 0 human contact. And then you could do it differently. You could allow the robots to reshelve the books, use the computer to keep track of the books and make sure they've been there 3 days before they're allowed to be checked out. And the reason we do it with bins in a regular library is because we don't want a human being to touch the books before they're safe. This cooling down period is actually not something new. It's been used in the world of nuclear energy because there's simply no other way of decontaminating nuclear radioactive material than by the passage of time. After the Fukushima disaster, they wanted to evaluate what happened inside a nuclear power plant that had a meltdown, but it's too dangerous to send humans in. They would die from the radioactivity. There is no gear that offers enough protection, so they send in robots. It'll take decades to take the nuclear waste out and many more decades before it's safe for humans to be there again. Now you may have realized that radioactivity and coronavirus are somewhat different, but they're actually similar in the sense that they're both something you cannot see. You cannot feel. You just have to believe it exists based on scientific evidence. If you look at the radioactivity decay, it's very complicated, taking half-lives and multiple half-lives to decrease. Luckily for us, the coronavirus infection in this period is much easier to graph. Here, I drew it for you. After a few days, it just won't be infectious anymore because the coronavirus went kaput. And as we're talking about reopening, if we want to think about the safety of the workers, we could use the same strategy. At supermarkets, they have assigned employees to clean carts. They're heavily exposed to things. People's hands have touched an awful lot. They wear gloves and masks, but what if during their 8-hour shift they happen to rub their nose or touch your mouth, or just really need to get that booger stuck there in the nose? They might get infected. Wouldn't it be better to use the same idea of time distancing? Instead of cleaning off carts, just put them in separate areas and rotate which carts you use. And given that not as many people are out, some people prefer not to use carts so they don't have to touch anything, carts are plentiful nowadays. We have used a lot of resources to combat the coronavirus. We have shut down businesses, told people not to go out, purchased millions of dollars worth of masks, and now reopening. But one thing we still haven't done and should start doing is seeing time distancing as a protective measure, because time is another way of killing the coronavirus.